Hey, so today we're very lucky to have Kumar with us, who is recently head of digital marketing at Sky and has recently launched KaiSignals, which is an agentic AI for marketing. So, Kumar, I know you're planning to talk to us today about how important first party data is, um, not just in terms of outcomes, but really in terms of the foundations for driving performance. So, yeah, could you tell us about that?
Um, so at Sky, my role spanned across digital marketing, measurement, and technology. And what that allowed me to do is look at new stuff that is coming out in the market, evaluate them, and then if they are relevant for the business, then weed them back into the planning. Um, and back in the days, we had the whole idea around cookieless cookies, third-party cookies were deprecating, and which created an impetus within the business to focus on building cookieless strategies. That is when we started focusing on our internal data that we had with us, the rich first party data that was there. And we realized that we may be sophisticated in our marketing, but that is one of the core elements that we needed to leverage within our marketing so that it does not become one of the situations where we have got things that we could do easily. We haven't been doing it properly. Essentially, it is controlling the controllables, and that was well within our gifts to do it. Now, technology is evolving, and within that space, if we look at AI agents, new types of optimization, all of them would come in. But then they are things that you go out and explore as new ideas. Whereas what you have got within your organization, the first party data, is a great resource to start with, which is where I often go look inside and think about first party data being one of your superpowers as a brand that you can bring to the forefront and leverage that uh, piece of data or that information to do better marketing.
And where does that start, I suppose? What's the kind of core fundamentals of leveraging that data?
Um, think about it as identity. Do I know my customers well? And do I know them across different sessions, across different platforms? Can I identify them well? Have I been able to manage their consent, the permissions, or privacy restrictions, or privacy preferences my customers are asking us to honor? Consent becomes, and once you have applied the two things, the one thing that becomes really critical is the match rate. When you go out using your first party data into platforms like Google and Meta, are you getting a good match for your customers? Because you could be holding some information within your organization, but if it doesn't talk to the outside world, it becomes really a moot point because you are not able to market them based on their preferences. So I would say these three things put together, um, if they are peak, we will be building things that are deemed to degrade over time. But if you strengthen them, you automatically see an uplift come through.
Makes sense. And I guess, you touched on match rates, like explain like what makes that good or why it might degrade. Like yeah, could you expand on that?
So when you think of first party data can be split into two parts: things that are persistent or stay the same for a long period of time or forever, like your email addresses, or things which are short lived, like cookies and identifiers that are available from different devices or browsers. Now, if you anchor yourself on these persistent or long term IDs, then you are going to see the same thing come again and again. You can tie the same individual back to it. And when you think about how do you access Google or Meta, you do sign in to those environments. So if I know the email address that you have over there and the email address that I have over here, now when I'm trying to target or remarket you, I know exactly who I want to speak to. There is a consistency over there. And the same when you try to do it with these um, IDs which are not persistent, then over a period of time they would change, and you would need to make sure that they are refreshing at a right level. Now, from a match rate perspective, if you think about it, if I've got a 100 customers, how many of them can I find in these ecosystems? They could be signing with different email addresses. They could be signing from different devices, different browsers, and all of those would create a different ID altogether. So getting a higher match rate is the objective, but I'm also cognizant that people might have different email addresses, and what does good like becomes a question very specific to each brand and every marketing platform that you are using. Sometimes 50% might be really good, or even from a geography perspective, because geography puts a lot more nuances to it. You might get a match rate of 50% or 70% within the UK, but then if you go out in Germany, that match rate might be really less. So it varies by geographies.
No, okay, yeah, definitely makes sense. I guess. So curious from that, you've got first party data, identity, match rate. Like, how does this fuel decisioning at the end of the day? Where do you go from that kind of base level foundation?
All my life as an analyst, one of the things came to the forefront always: analysis paralysis. Once you have got too much data or too many dashboards, you tend to be confused about what you are going towards. So decisioning becomes a corner center of what you're trying to achieve, and then you work backwards to see what do you need to make that decision, as opposed to start with what I have, everything that you put in the funnel, and hope that there is a decision that comes out. So it is just tying that idea. Now, if when you think about first party data being one of your superpower, why wouldn't you want that to come out of the things that you know about your customer? The one thing you are sure would align with your customers' preferences and profiles. So using that to generate these ideas or new ideas that could come for marketing, for creative, for measurement, how you go about it, those become important when you bring first party data in it. And the same goes from a dashboarding perspective. You need to measure that part of how you are leveraging it and what returns are you getting at the back of it. Um, you don't want to be in a place where you have got your first party data sitting over here, which you are not leveraging, but you are going with sophisticated technology, whether it is within your measurement state or the campaign types or within your targeting. And that's not coming through because you have not leveraged your first party data. So between your decisioning, you need to see like you are trying to reach to as many relevant people as possible. And that's the objective from a marketing perspective. And as long as the relevance is maintained, the sales will happen. So how do you track it backwards to how do you create relevance for your brand and preferences for your customers? And that brings you back to first party data.
Amazing. I guess I'm sure everybody listening will be really interested to hear how this kind of played out at Sky, right? Like, and any wins that you took from that. So yeah, how you applied that to inform that decisioning, and and yeah, any wins that maybe some of the people listening can take away and apply in their own day jobs.
So the moment we started looking at our first party data, the few things that were really top of mind for us was suppressing people who already have a product with the same product. Don't show them ad for a TV if you already have got a TV. In that case, you would be looking for an upsell messaging or maybe some new channel packs that you need to bring in. So suppression becomes a critical element within that. You use it within the marketing to make sure that you're not wasting your media budget. Um, from a targeting perspective, you do get some leverage within that, but not in all ecosystem. So within our cookieless program, we had a project within the open web space where we wanted to target people on iOS, Safari browsers, which were blocking the cookies. So that is the place where we leveraged the lookalike models for our existing customers to say, this is the type of profile that I want to target within that ecosystem. And that was one of the success stories that we had for that year because it allowed us to scale within that iOS and non-cookied environment, and that did deliver its value, definitely. um, Obviously, for numbers, I can't talk about numbers, but it was a significant growth that we had seen over there.
Amazing. And I know, we were kind of debating earlier when we were prepping this, sort of the pros and cons of the AI campaign types, right? Within the main ad platforms, less so in open web today. And yeah, I guess just curious for you to share sort of your perspectives there. The lot of businesses we talk to, they see a lot of value in targeting, getting a lot of value from AI campaign types. The vast majority, it's still very much a bit of both, and there's pros and cons and different applications. So yeah, maybe you could just expand a little bit on how you leverage first party data at Sky, and how you see kind of the maximum value being obtained with these two different worlds that we're still straddling.
Yeah, you put it very well that there are two different worlds that we are struggling with because on one hand we have got AI and AI driven solutions, and on the other hand we have got a lot more manual control. Now, uh, AI requires you to not have any control over it. Like if you think about what Mark Zuckerberg was saying last year, that give me all your money and I'll optimize all your campaigns for you. Which is just fueling the setup and then allowing it to find you the best people. But as marketeers, you would want to know who are you reaching, when are you reaching, what type of message are you sending, and which is where you want a lot more control. And then you get into a world of having different types of campaign trying to target different parts of the funnel. Whereas the AI world just doesn't see funnel, it sees signals and intent and value, and it tries to optimize it tries to optimize whatever you ask it to optimize. If you ask it to optimize, get me as many people as possible, it will find you as many people as possible. If you tell it, find me as many people as possible that will convert, it will find you that. And if you tell it, find me the highest value people, it will try to find you that. So it definitely depends on what are you asking it to do. Now that is the bridge that happens between the old world and the new world. You no longer think of it as funnels, but you think of it as what you want to achieve. And it is no different from the basics of marketing, because basics of marketing remains consistent, that you try to have an outcome and optimize towards that outcome. You'll have brand building campaign which focuses on making sure that there is awareness and consideration for your customers, and which is what will come down to within the funnel for conversion during a course of time or during the course of consideration period. And on the other hand, you have got your performance campaign, which over indexes on getting the results right here, right now. And that is where you optimize more towards sales. So within those, if you look at the old world, we still try to control the funnel. And the new world wants, there is no funnel, just give me the signals, just give me the money, just give me the creatives, and I will find you the right outcome, whichever outcome you want. So I would say going to the basics of marketing and bridging the two world is the way forward for it. And within my own experience, I did start from the old world. We did have a lot of campaigns, but then we went through a phase of test and learn. We tested what works, what doesn't work, at what level of investment do they work, so that I could redesign the funnel and say that these are the two campaigns that I should be running. Find me more people, find me people who are converting right here, right now. And then I could optimize the budget within the two.
Makes sense. And any, I guess, any insights as to the impact that drove that you're able to share, and understand if not, you're not no longer with Sky, but yeah.
I know, but some of the things which are already out there, I can share those. Um, So when I look at multiple campaigns being put together, simplification of it, it resulted into somewhere around 12% improvement in performance without additional budget, which meant that there was no budget reallocation. There was no additional budget put against that 12% improvement. And then there is also another test that we had done where we did reallocate the budget based on effectiveness, and that saw significant improvement. I cater a lot more of that improvement being towards budget reallocation, picking the best performing campaigns and putting money behind those campaigns, as opposed to simplification driving that benefit. So I would say between the two things, you can easily see a benefit of 10-11%, but it varies by brand and where you are in your maturity. This was one of my cases where I had seen that kind of a 12% improvement.
No, amazing. And yeah, I guess it's that combination of first party data and yeah, feeding in relevant signals around what the end business value is that you're targeting, that you're looking to target the platforms against.
That is really important. The signal part of it is the really important bit. Um, the signal has to be designed as to what you want the platform to understand and optimize. If your signals are not that and you just chuck a bunch of data at the platform, it will create more confusion than signals. So you need to be very precise about what you want to send to the platform so that it interprets it in the right way.
No, great. And I guess last question on this, and then we've got some quick fires, Kumar. But I'm just curious to get your perspective. You know, there's plenty of skeptics out there as well, right? On the kind of AI campaign types, loss of control, and ultimately that you're ceding control to actors who, at the end of the day, are looking to take more of your money, right? And for you to invest more into that. I guess, yeah, just curious to get your perspective on that and what you might say to those skeptics, because I know you're a big advocate for going kind of all in on this stuff.
The easiest thing is, let's imagine that this is a black box and you know nothing about what it is doing. I hold a simple principle of money in, money out. The amount of media that I'm trying to put in and what is the return that I'm getting. The measurement sits with you as a brand. You measure it precisely, that is it making money for my business or not when I spend money? And at what level does it make money? Leave the platform aside. They could take everything that you have from your data, your signals, your money. But if it is making money for your business, is that not the right thing to do? That becomes the question. So just simplification on the commercial anchor on that allows you to navigate this whole complex world of AI, where AI is evolving every day, every hour of the day. Let's not get bogged down by it. Let's look at a simplified view. Is it making me money? And am I okay with that level of risk that I'm putting when I increase my budget investment on that one? Is it the best thing for me to do across all the channels, not just digital, but traditional channels and digital channels put together? If it is the most efficient place, let's do it. Now, measurement should not, I would reinforce this, that measurement should not just be short term. You need to have a proper view of what it delivers today, what it will deliver tomorrow, what it will deliver in a year's time, because there are channels and there are marketing campaigns, media types that are going to deliver in the long run, and they may look really bad in the short term. So you need to balance on the total value that it is generating as opposed to just a short-term view of it.
No, interesting. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I like that money in, money out, because that's what matters at the end of the day, whether you're taking a short term or long term view. And yeah, definitely speak to different brands where they have different experiences, right? Where they might have lent more into PMAX and they saw some stuff working, some stuff not, and they've veered back. So I think it's definitely brand specific, but evolving at a pace. So yeah, really.
Definitely. And as you were saying, PMAX, you need to be very careful from a brand safety perspective that those are non-negotiables that you always put in. Yes, there is money in, money out, but it has to be kosher from a brand perspective.
Yeah, because there's a lot of inventory that is packaged up within that overall umbrella, right? So, okay, right, we've got some rapid fires for you. So, first one, what brand doing marketing today do you admire and why?
Um, I would say Duolingo is doing great right now from a marketing perspective, because they understand that consistency beats one-off campaigns or campaigns at different points in time. They want to create a consistent um presence of their brand that shows up natively in culture, that reinforces the promise that you could be a part of different culture at different places and be able to interact with people. Uh, and the creative is on point. It just aligns how people actually consume content rather than how we marketeers would like them to consume content. So there is better resonance with customers on that one.
Great, love it. Recommendations for a podcast or a book for performance teams?
Um, from I would add one more to that one, Substack. I am really into Substack these days, and Q by Tom Triskery is a great one. It's one of those places which challenges your thinking within our industry, ad tech and media, and it helps you question what new things are coming in and how they are going to impact the basics of marketing. So that's brilliant. um, the second one, from a book or a podcast perspective, Freakonomics, I really like it. It has got new ideas coming in, and it allows you to be a critical thinker, not take things on face value. It often challenges that thinking, and I really like that. That as marketeers, we should have that critical thinking element within our, uh, understanding
Yeah,
and approach.
and it's long time since I read it, but it really kind of brings data to life for non-data natives, right? Like
Yeah.
certainly where I come from originally. I think yeah, Quo Vadis is great. I think I guess this is a podcast, so fair to say, friend of the pod, Tom. If he's listening, Tom, give us a thumbs up. But yeah, I really like how he brings in kind of wider economics into the picture as well, and like gives the big picture and puts real numbers behind this stuff rather than it just being a high level perspective. So, last question: best advice received. Doesn't need to be specific to performance marketing.
Um, the one that I really like,
Okay, or
till
can
date.
can be specific to performance marketing. It's
Um, so the best one that I've ever had is decisioning or delegation of decision should be intentional. And there is a simple framework to be thought of on that one. Think of it as a tree. The leader should hold on to the roots and the trunk, where the decisions are things that you can't undo and they have got significant impact on you and your business. And then the branches and the leaves should be delegated out to the teams. You don't want to be in the weeds of every decisions or every choice that are being made. And the team should be empowered to make those choices, because you can undo some of them if they go in the wrong direction or their implications are not as high. So just having that framework allows you to have that headspace that you really need when you are at a level where you need to make those critical choices. You just need time to think about them. And if you intentionally segregate them, you do create a lot of headspace.
love it. Okay, so make decisions like a tree is the the takeaway that everyone will remember, right? And I guess if all decisions are like a tree, then AI team of agents is like a forest, right? So that's a good tee up for yeah, maybe why people should speak to you at some point, Kumar. But thank you, thanks so much for the pod today. Really enjoyed speaking.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Cool. Cheers. Take care.